Like suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cool, man. So then, so you're the one that plugs in all the. So you're the first officer. You're a new first officer. Are you the one plugging in all the coordinates, or doing all that, whatever? Do you guys do flows and stuff like that?
Yeah. So we do a flow and back it up with a checklist. So we run the cockpit just like almost like an airline.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're the new FO, you're plugging it all in and doing all that stuff. And
oh, cool.
Yeah.
So do you and clearance and stuff like that? Like you get like obviously it's in because you're going to TFR areas. Like how does that work?
Well, so the controlling person of that TFR is the job I used to do, which was the air attack.
Okay, got you.
So you're contacting him and he's giving you permission in.
Okay.
But yeah, so like we talked to, if the fire is in a controlled airspace, obviously, we'll have to talk to him. But yeah, it's just if you're in a class Charlie or Bravo, same thing. You get on with clearance.
Same thing, yeah.
But we're usually VFR everywhere we go.
Gotcha. TFRs, we'll get into what TFR is in because I put it on the podcast. What is a TFR anyway? I don't fucking remember.
There's tons of them in Arizona right now.
Yeah,
so it'd be a good thing to talk about.
So right now,
not too far east.
No, big one.
Have you fought that fire at all?
I have not been on the Telegraph, but the plane that I'm going to get on contract with has flown it all day today.
Really?
And it just so happens that that's the one I'm going on. So it's kind of a crapshoot on which planes we go on. They could be anywhere. We have 2 planes in California, 1 in Montana, 1 here, and 1 going out. So yeah, I mean, if it's out of Gateway, it's nice because I get to go home every night. But that's kind of
cool, man. So this is something you realize I'm really curious. Okay, so you climb up. So what altitude you guys usually go to?
Depending on how close the fire is, how far it is. I mean, so our airplane, the MD, is limited to 21,000 feet because of the pod that we have, the external pod on the bottom.
Pod? Oh, for the fluid?
For the retardant.
Oh, got you. Okay.
And so, sometimes the fuel burn at 21,000 and the fuel burn at 17.5 really isn't that big of a deal.
Gotcha,
so if we're gonna have to get vectored around MOAs, military operating areas, and stuff like that, we'll just go VFR direct at 17.5. But if the fire's close, we'll go at 7. Well, we usually try to get above 10 so we can go fast.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you go above 250 or whatever it is. Gotcha. Cool.
And sometimes, because we have a discrete squawk code on the tankers that we squawk, and sometimes, if you ask, the center will delete speed restrictions below 10.
Well, it would make sense.
What's that squawk code?
1255 doesn't
matter. I didn't think you could answer that.
You could probably Google it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not like it's a 1255 for it. It's not every time you get a clearance thing. It's
sorry, guys. I tried to bring you something cool.
But if you're doing 1255 in the old Cherokee, they might give you a hard time.
Yeah. I'd be like, I got a fire extinguisher on board, bro.
And they try to do priority handling and stuff like that if you can. But yeah, I mean, try to get above 10. But like the Telegraph fire from Gateway, I mean, they're probably cruising there going that way, 5,500 feet.
They're probably there in like 3 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, they're not going.
It's insane how close it is.
No reason to do this and then just do that.
So you never do any of the maneuvers in a sim. All that stuff you've done, it's all live. So there's no sim training for. Get your sucker in there. You're doing it.
They're doing more and more. Like the last time I went to the Delta, they were like, "Hey, we've done. How do you guys feel about your check ride?" And we're like, "You know how it is. If you do a type, you're dialed. You're ready for it. You've done those maneuvers a million times."
Oh yeah. So
you're like, "We feel pretty good." There's like, "We got like an hour to kill, and your company paid for it. Is there anything you want to do?" And so we would kind of go run lines on ridges and stuff like that. But you can't simulate it really.
So. Hopefully I'm not moving us in a direction you were going to go later, but 2 questions. When you guys are doing the dump, what are your airspeeds like, and then how high are you above the ground?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so the airspeed that we drop at is 140 knots.
Oh.
So we're slowed down pretty good, and the minimum drop height that we're allowed to go per the Forest Service is 150 feet.
Oh, wow.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, it gets in there.
Holy shit.
That's a big ass. The first time you saw that in a big plane, you just kind of like, ugh.
I remember my first drop from the right seat, and I was just like, because it's hairy. And you do these water drops in the spring training, but like I said, we do like 3 of them. And we usually do them up high because you take the risk out of it,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, 150 feet, and that's depending on a lot of different things. If you're going down into a steep canyon and you need to get out on the other side, maybe you might drop at 200 or 250 feet. But the higher you are, the less effective the drop pattern is on the ground.
Right,
so you want to get pretty low, and you want to be around that 140 because the faster you are, the same thing.
What kind of effect do you get when all the load has been dispatched?
Like a CG thing, you mean?
Yeah, and just your airspeed, everything.
You can feel it, but I thought it would be more, but it's, you know, all the different tankers, they try to design the, you know, on the middle, on the center of gravity, so you're not getting all this crazy shifts and stuff.
Right.
So you feel it. The most thing you feel the performance in the aircraft because you get rid of 27,000 pounds in a couple seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, once you get rid of that, I mean that thing is just a rocket ship, and so you really have to kind of pull back so you don't run into the air attack and stuff like that. But yeah, it's more of just like you just feel lighter, but there's not a big change in the aircraft really.
Awesome.
You mentioned like patterns. Like I was told, especially I think it was last year where they had a really bad fire, whatever it is.
Last year was terrible.
They weren't really like you guys don't really. At times, you're not really trying to throw the fluid on the fire. You're trying to pattern it so you can lock it in or block it in or something like that.
About 0% of the time.
Oh, really?
So we do, and with fire retardant, we do something called indirect attack, and that is pretty much building fire line and trying to herd the fire. And really, what we're doing is buying time for the guys on the ground to get in there because they're the ones that put the fire out. We just help them.
Ah, interesting.
So your helicopters and like your super scoopers, like the CL-415s that skim off the lakes,
yeah.
they do direct attack
They're the ones
directly on the flame.
Oh, okay.
So we just do mostly indirect all the time.
Trying to lock it in or create a. Okay.
Is it the same type of company that does the water? So okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Aeroflight, they have tankers that do both. But yeah, no, mostly the guys that do retardant. Most of the guys that do water.
Gotcha. Are those independent contractors, companies?
Yeah, everybody is.
Gotcha.
The only planes that in fire that the government uses are the lead planes. And they're government employees, and they're the ones that sometimes lead us into the fire.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, the lead planes?
Jets or whatever.
Well, they did jets for a while, but the fuel burn was just atrocious.
Yeah.
And so now they're using like King Air 200s.
Right on. Well, so do you do a lot of work here in Arizona? You said you're like if you're in Gateway Airport, what determines that that's where you're hanging out for that shift?
So last year, I mean, I flew a ton last year. We were all over the place. But I was in Arizona a good amount. And then, you know, like this year, so the plane that I'm going on tomorrow was in Arizona for like 5 days. And then a new fire started in New Mexico. And then so someone decided to send them to New Mexico. So they were there for like a week and a half flying there. And then today they came back. So it's just how the people that are way higher than us in the food chain do the. So I could go on the plane. Well, tomorrow's technically my travel day. So I could go on the plane on Friday and mid-afternoon we could be in Montana.
Gotcha. So do you basically get assigned a plane and that's what you're sticking with?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the captain, co-pilot, and then the crew chief, which is just the mechanic that travels with us, is on the same plane, and we'll be on the same plane for the contract period, and we'll go all over.
Where are you headed tomorrow?
If the plane stays in Gateway, I'm not going anywhere because that's my travel day,
Nice.
and I'll just drive into work on Friday.
Yeah.
But if it goes somewhere, then I'll go wherever it goes.
How do you travel to and from?
So if we're at living by Sky Harbor, most of the time we'll commercial if it's to a major hub. But if not, the company has like 3 Citation Mustangs that they take the crew around in.
Excuse me?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
What did you just say?
I don't get it all the time.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah.
But if you go to for example, the airplane before it came here was in Silver City, New Mexico.
Okay.
There's no close major airports to that without driving a ton. So they would pick, they'd pick the other 2 crew members up on the way down, swoop me up at like Cutter, and then take me over there, and then they would take those guys home. But most of the time, I can airline because I'm so close to Sky Harbor, and we go to somewhere that's a major hub.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the company's out of Oregon, so I'm way out of the way.
Yeah.
It's got to be cool to fly in the Citation, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Very nice.
Real quick, so if you were here last year, and so this is a long shot after hearing all that, but there was a. So you guys have an MD-11, right?
No, so DC-10 tanker.
It is a DC-10.
Yeah, it's a completely different company.
Okay.
Yeah, they're called 10 tanker. They operate, I think, 4 DC-10s.
Okay. So there was a brush fire off like the 202 and I say like probably rural Kyrene-ish. And that puppy was flying around and everybody was pulling over staring because they'd never seen a plane that size flying that low and slow and circling. And
dude, it's massive.
A brush fire?
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it was
wildfire.
pretty bad. I'm sure a couple of swipes and they were good to go. But
Oh,
yeah, I was driving down the highway and I was like, well, I'll be damned. And I have some pictures I might be able to send over to you, but they're from my car, so they're not really good.
well, it's fascinating because at times,
But real quick, you can see the lead plane.
So the DC-10s have to have a lead plane.
Okay, gotcha.
why is that?
Just how the Forest Service wrote up the contracts. So they're required to have a lead plane where all the other large air tankers don't have to. They're considered a VLAT, which is a very large air tanker.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, we can haul and drop 3,000 gallons. I think they're 9,500.
Wow.
So triple, over triple.
So what is the lead plane? So the lead plane, they're just following the lead plane. Is that what it is?
Yeah, if they're depending on if they're available and if the fire requires it. Sometimes the conditions can get pretty gnarly, smoky and bumpy, and you're down low level. And so really, what they're doing is kind of testing the air for you, and they're giving you direct feedback. Hey, you're going to get a riser here. It sinks here, and you're just following them. And then they have like a smoke generator, just like stunt planes do, and like air show planes. And when they'll say, hey, I want you to connect this line to this line, they'll just put out some smoke.
Oh shit.
But we don't always have those.
Yeah.
We can talk directly to the ground and go to work with them.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
So does the cockpit get engulfed with smoke at times? You're like,
no, because we have to maintain VFR at all times.
I love the way you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're smart. You're gonna fit well with this podcast. That's funny. But I've seen them, especially when they know it's gonna get gnarly. Like they know a real big fire is coming.
Yeah.
Like they'll go in and like drop a bunch of not retard. But
retard.
But drop a bunch of fluid on like houses just to help. Do you guys do that stuff as well?
Oh,
or?
yeah.
Oh, really?
We do. That's called structure protection. I mean, that's like the last ditch effort. But, we really try to get there before that. But sometimes, fire weather's nuts. I mean,
man.
I've seen I can show you guys some pictures after of just, it looks creepy. I mean, it just engulfs stuff and it moves so fast, starts creating its own weather and clouds and stuff.
Yeah, I was reading this this article and it's saying that obviously wildfires have destroyed like 89,000 structures and homes and business since 2005 to 2020, and they often like create their own like weather and all that shit you gotta deal with. So you gotta deal with like fucking fire weather. What the hell, dude?
It'll create these huge, we call them headers, just these huge headers, and then it's just like a thunderstorm. So once it gets to a point where it can't support itself, it'll dissipate. And that'll just have huge outflows and like it's
really?
It's crazy.
It's no good if you're 150 feet off the ground.
No. But also I read that it's like, was it like 4 out of 5 fires are created by just some random dude going to drop my cigarette.
There's tons of it's mostly human caused. Human caused. And it a lot of it, you have people that go out there and start these. There's arsonists and they have a
piece of
they have a whole team on the Forest Service that investigates these fires to make sure.
It's crazy how they find them.
Yeah.
Well, they find them as well a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
It blows my mind.
But it's like
DNA probably. I don't know.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, anyways, yeah.
But I mean, I think 2 years ago, before last year, because last year was like the craziest fire season I've ever seen in California. I mean, they had a 1 million acre fire.
Yeah, fire was bad.
It was nuts. But I think 2 years before that, the largest fire in state history, it was like right around over 500,000 acres. And it was just a rancher putting spikes in the ground to build a fence. And one spark.
Oh, shit.
God. That's insane.
Yeah.
Ah!